it felt very much like it was told from another perspective. And I usually tend to write in my own perspective. So Nosedive was cool. It felt like playing a character, but at the same time, it was still me. And it was like a big part of my life. And Nosedive is a song, for me about kind of a high and a come down, and the dichotomy of both, and kind of the invincibility on top and the crash on the way down. That's where the line comes from. Build them up like towers and knock them down like dominoes. Something that's so easy to knock down.
The Desert Tiger Podcast.
All right, Ambush, and today it's round 3 with the prolific alternative R&B singer and producer. It is a good friend of mine that we have built quite a little bit of a relationship here on the show. And, just jamming out to his music in general. And, of course, that's what brings us here today. My good friend has a sophomore full-length album entitled LP2 on its way October 14th. By the time you're listening to this, it's already out. Go out and listen to the album. Come on, guys.
Do it.
Yeah, do it. But we're here to dive into LP2 today with my good friend, Jesse Maxwell. How's it going today, Jesse?
Hi, Colton. Thank you so much for having me on. Like I was saying before we started recording, Colton has been here supporting all my releases, and it's nice to, that we've shared this over the journey. It's been cool. So I'm really excited to be on again today and chat.
Hey, I mean, I'm excited for it too. And I mean, I'm still jamming to Hellion and all of those tunes. Like, I literally shared Hellion with a friend the other day, and it was still sharing your music all over the place. So I am all about it. I'm very excited for this new music, my friend. So of course, I need to jump into it right there, because of course the last time you were on the show was May of last year to dive behind Hellion. So it's been about 1.5 years since then. So take us behind this journey. When did LP2 begin?
LP2 began about 2 years ago. Maybe a bit more at this point. I don't know. Time is all a blur. Since COVID, time is all a blur. But I think maybe 2, maybe more years ago, and we did it quick. I think my MO at this point is I do create a lot, and I create in albums as well. I create in projects. So we started this. It was me and my co-producer Andres, and we did a bunch of the songs together. Some of them I did myself, and the rest we did together. We would just kind of go back and forth, and we came up with this album. And at the time there was 14 songs, and we just honed it down a little bit. I showed it to some industry people. I showed it to some friends, and got some general consensus of what people were feeling. And with that, also had to go with my gut of what some people were saying to take off or keep. And, you have to take these things with a grain of salt. But yeah, we basically finished the album 1.5 years ago, I would say, at this point. And I was really the one who was pushing the release. I hold these things pretty heavy to my heart, and releasing music is fun, and it can be a really straining process. So a bunch of what I do is put into my music, and now this album, it felt very much like me. It was definitely a different direction than I had been in before with some of the songs, and a little darker, a little more ambient, a little more experimental at times. And I don't know if I was ready to release it as I usually am. I'm let's go. And I just kind of needed to push it off a little bit. So now I felt ready. I was let's just do it. And here we are. The day has arrived.
Well, I mean, after a year and a half of sitting on this album, as you mentioned, sometimes you can overthink things, and then you send it out for opinion, and getting it to other ears can be a good thing. But sometimes it's just it's opinions of these matters, and it's maybe they don't understand the message of what you're trying to get across, or exactly what the theme of everything is. But at the same time, it's you yourself as the artist are also overthinking all of these things, and the more time that you have to do that, I'm sure it just continues to build up, right?
For sure. And you know what, music is so subjective like that, and I'm sure that there's songs on this album that people will love and that they won't relate to, and at the end of the day, you just have to follow your gut with it. and know that you created in such a way that like you wanted this message to come out of it and you wanted to present it in this way. And just go with that. And the opinions are great and they are helpful, especially when, again, you've been sitting on it for so long and you're just stuck in your head about certain things. There's some songs on this album that took a very long time to kind of come together. They went through different stages and stuff. So to get that out of perspective is really healthy. I think at the end of the day, we all got good heads on our shoulders, and you kind of know what you want to do because it's your art, and that's what you do. And you kind of take everything bit by bit.
Exactly. It's your art. You have to take it how you feel, what you're trying to express. And of course, I'd love to dive into some of what exactly we are expressing here on LP2. And of course, our first taste of the album came February 11th of this year with a track entitled Nosedive, my friend. So take us behind Nosedive.
Nosedive lyrically came together really quick, and I'm not sure how. But Nosedive lyrically for me is like a really interesting song that I wrote. It felt very much like it was told from another perspective. And I usually tend to write in my own perspective. So Nosedive was cool. It felt like playing a character, but at the same time, it was still me. And it was like a big part of my life. And Nosedive is a song, for me about kind of a high and a come down, and the dichotomy of both, and kind of the invincibility on top and the crash on the way down. That's where the line comes from. Build them up like towers and knock them down like dominoes, something that's so easy to knock down. So it was cool. I don't know. It just kind of came together, and Andres brought me most of the instrumental. Actually, I think he brought me all the instrumental on that one. And I just started writing, and I had a great time writing. It just kind of came out. And it was fun too. That was the first music video we had ever put out. And that was a great experience, being able to, I've never done visuals like that before, and worked with such a great team. And it just looked incredible. And it was warm. It felt incredible, the music video. And it really was able to further along that idea that I was trying to push in the music, was this invincibility, but kind of stuck in this illusion or this dream, and the separation of that from the rest of the world. So it's cool. So yeah, I love Nosedive. And at the end of the day too, it is, I like it because you can read into it, and it just is a cool track. It just feels cool. And the wah guitar going is the general texture of the song. I love listening to that song. I love performing it. I love hearing it. It's definitely a good song on there.
It's definitely got its own energy and vibe for sure. Like you mentioned, that wah guitar just coming in right off the start, where it's okay, we're different energy here, but you can still sort of get that feel of that invincibility, it's whoever's vibe it is, they're rocking it. But I like how you also mentioned build them up like towers, knock them down like dominoes. Anyone who's ever been there knows just how fine that line can be of I'm on top of the world, and nope.
That's what it is, right? And it's such a quick change, but yeah, and really just wanted to illustrate that invincibility, a tower looking over the city, and you're in the sky, is you're on top of the world. Exactly.
Mm-hmm. And of course, your lyrics are always very vivid inside the imagery for that. So like you mentioned, the fun of being able to film the music video. What was it like to actually put a legitimate image to that?
It was cool. It was different because it wasn't a capacity I was used to. But I think people really connected to it. And in that process, I think I was able to connect with it more. I think now when I hear the song, I associate it to the visual, and I associate it to the warm color schemes. And, there was a scene outside, and the greens were really warm, and we had a scene inside with the reds. And there's one part where I look into the mirror and my whole eyes are black. And that was wild trying to get, we didn't do any special effects on that. It was all I put in these massive contacts into my eyes, and it hurt so bad, but it was worth it. And just being able to have that to associate to the song just adds a new meaning for me. You know what I mean? And it really puts you in that world. The music can do, and it's kind of limited in that way. You know, a lot of us, including myself, I think, without realizing it, are visual people that way, and we gravitate towards these things. I think I didn't understand maybe the importance of visuals until it came out, and I was like, okay, damn, yeah, wow, it builds this world for you.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And I also, one thing that stood out to me for sure was definitely the black eyes as well. Like, it's just pops.
So wild, right? Yeah. Yeah. And that was the thing too. Like I had certain images like that I really wanted to do. The black eyes were one of them. And you know, I worked with Eric Kingsbury and Adrian Altabelli, and like they were the directors of it. They really just like brought all these random ideas to life, and made it make sense. And that was the cool thing about collaborating in that way as well.
Awesome. Of course, that's just one track out of the 8 tracks that are available on LP2 here. And of course, there's another track that wasn't a single that definitely caught my attention. Made me had to like stop through my first listen and sort of like, of course, this was the end track for LP2, a little bit of some middle yellow, my friend. So take me behind what this track is, how to come together.
I'm so glad you said that. I love Middle Yellow. Middle Yellow is probably one of, in my opinion, the coolest tracks I've ever made. It was really the first time where I just felt like so free in my creation. I made this one very closely with Andres, and it's also featuring Samaza Marava, is one of the vocalists in my live band. This song to me, so it's the focus track of the album, which is great. I wanted to give it its light, and it's going to be really the focus when the album comes out. And it was so, okay, so I'll talk about it in like 2 different capacities. One is just like the structure of it was really free-formed. You know, we didn't follow this verse chorus bridge type structure. We really just went on how we felt, what the vibe was, and like just followed that. And the other side of it, lyrically, it was, you know, we kind of followed that process as well. It was very stream of consciousness. It was very free-formed. There's certain like dichotomies that show up in the album, and Middle Yellow is one of them. Middle Yellow for me was kind of describing the conscious and unconscious mind, like the limitations of both. And it was, you know, it was one of these things that like I don't even think I realized when I was writing it, and then as I started finishing it, I'm like, okay, this is kind of what I make of this, and I guess this is where my mind took me. And because I was trying to go with this like free form mentality, I think that's kind of reflected in the lyrics about how far my conscious mind can go. You know, just being able to see things at face value compared to this unconscious mind where, you know, when I'm asleep and I'm dreaming all these wild things that I'll never be able to fathom, yet I'm just lying there in the physical realm, not moving. And I think that was, you know, this idea of like just being free with that. I don't know. It came together again, like pretty quickly. And I love it. I think it sounds beautiful. It sounds so warm to me. It's smooth. Like, it's funny too. We just started like practicing it. We have a concert coming up on November 4th. And we just played it for the first time yesterday with the band, and it just like clicked. So, I'm really excited for people to hear this. And, yeah, it was just a cool direction to go. And it felt like a good closer for the album. It felt like, you know, a good closer for what could potentially be coming next after the album. Just kind of leaving things up to interpretation, and like on a very ambient, slightly ominous, but like peaceful and beautiful note. Just felt really right. So I'm glad you said that, because I really connect with that song. It's just very, very close to me.
I also like what you just said there, where like it sort of ends things off strongly but leaves it open. And I like how it's a song sort of like, you know, that idea of dreaming and otherwise, and it just continues to leave the future open to potential.
Totally. And I think that's, you know, that's kind of the note that I wanted to set people off with this album. is just like, these things are up to interpretation. Music, especially the way I feel like that we've created this album, is pretty free, and it's, I don't think it's stuck in a certain genre or a certain sound. We have different types of things going on this album. It's funny too, if you think about like where the album starts with Six, this like grimy sub bass leading track, and then it ends on this like really soft, pretty swirly note. It's just like, I think it was a nice kind of rounded off taste in your mouth for the album, and I think people appreciate that.
Absolutely. I mean, I know I do. And you mentioned that you're excited for people to hear the track. I love the track, and I'm jealous of the people who are going to be hearing this track live November 4th at the Bar Cathedral in Toronto, Ontario, my friend. You got an upcoming release album show. Take me behind the excitement for this. You already mentioned the live band's going to be there. What else can people expect?
Live band will be there. It will be opening the show by Francesca Panetta. She's incredible. We're starting to work together in a different capacity, and I was really excited because I know she plays live and she's great playing live. So she's going to be opening the show. We have my band after that, and we're going to be playing a ton of stuff. Probably one of the longer sets that we've played. I think it's probably going to be an hour and a half, which is cool. The guy was like, you have the freedom, take up your time. And I was like, yeah. And we have songs, like, again, we have lots of material and stuff that we stopped playing because we had new songs come up. So we're just kind of like bringing back some of the old stuff with some of the new. And I'm going to be selling merch as well. This is really the first time I've talked about this, but I press a vinyl for the album, and it just looks really incredible and sounds really incredible. And I'm really excited about that. So I've pressed 50 vinyls, and we're going to be selling some of that, and then bringing back some of the Radio Silence, which is my first album, made these hats. So getting the whole experience. Yeah. And just going to be playing some of the, especially some of the stuff off of the new album. I think we're playing most of the songs off of the new album. Maybe some are missing, but it'll be a good time. I love playing. It's one of my favorite things to do.
For sure, for sure. I mean, it's an experience, right? As you build up these songs and you're not really sure like how some people are going to take them in. Sometimes when you release them to the world, some people will message you or otherwise. But when you play them live, you get that direct feedback from the people,
Yeah, totally. Listen, there's nothing like being in the room with people. It's funny, when I first started performing, I was different, I think, than I am now. Like, I'm much more comfortable performing. It's something I look forward to. It's like an experience that is to be shared with the artists and the listeners. And it's having that shared experience. It's great. There's nothing else like it. And again, there's one thing when, you put music out and people message you like, oh, I love it, and it sounds so good, and they share it, whatever. But there is nothing like the live experience in the room, just kind of jamming out together and having a nice night. And so I am excited for that.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, for sure. And like you mentioned, sort of sounds like it's going to be a journey through the experience that is Jesse Maxwell, going through some of the various songs. Like you mentioned, some songs that you maybe haven't played for a while. And one thing that you mentioned there is that you've grown a little more comfortable with playing live throughout the years. And one thing that I've started to ask people is sort of like, do they have a pre-game routine before they take the stage or otherwise to calm the nerves? And Jesse, I ask you this exact same question.
I'm going to say no. I wish that I did. I wish I had like a very specific regimen. I do certain things, I guess. I shouldn't say no. I really do certain things that I like always, I have this like vocal nebulizer. So like I put it on, it's like a huge contraption thing. I put it on my face and it basically just like steams my airways. Feels lovely. But it's a good way to keep your voice hydrated. And for nerves, nothing really. I always find that I can do certain things to set myself up. If I'm like if I'm feeling a bit congested that day, or like my throat is sore or whatever, there's things to take. But for nerves, you really just have to, I always say the second that the first note hits, it's over. The show is already over. You know what I mean? So you might as well just enjoy it. You hype it up and build it up until that moment. And being nervous is a part of it. And then the second that it starts, it just passes so quickly. So you just have to enjoy it. I think over the years I would say in my music creation as well, and in my performance, and I think just who I am as a person, I've tried to stop caring as much about external factors and what people think of me or judgment or anything like that. And just live life and have fun. And that's really all it is. Like at the end of the day, it's a job and I work hard at it, but my job is pretty cool. I get to make music, I get to work with cool people, and I get to play concerts. And like, I have to just really soak in that while it's here.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Not everybody gets to do that. And there's a lot of people who dream about doing it.
Totally. Yeah. So nothing to do with nerves. But it's also a timing, the more you do it, the more you get used to it. And it's just fun, while you're out there, you got to enjoy it.
Absolutely, for sure. So, of course, we've dove behind your upcoming album release concert. We've dove behind a couple of the tracks. Is there anything else that you want to tell the listeners about the upcoming LP2?
About LP2, well, after the album, we actually have a second music video coming out, which I'm so stoked about. I love Nosedive as a music video, and it's different than that. It feels like an art piece. It feels kind of like it feels like its own little universe. And I came up with this concept, and again, with the help of Eric and Adrian, we were able to bring it to life, and we had a great team of people. And I can't describe how cool and excited I am about the music video, but I think it's great. I think it'll be a great piece to have out. I think it'll be a great piece to be associated with the album, because it holds, I really think it ties in everything about the album together. And it's a simple concept, So anyways, that's coming out after the album. And then while the album is here, I hope people will listen to it and people will enjoy it, and just kind of like take it as a cool experience. There's like a little bit of everything, I think, and lots of different colors and feelings on the album. And so I hope people connect with it.
Hey, like I said earlier, he's a very vibrant songwriter with his lyrics, and it's a very soothing sound. So definitely go out and check out LP2. By the time you're listening to this interview, it's already out into the world. Check it out. Go ahead and follow Jesse Maxwell on your favorite social media platform so you can stay up to date with upcoming music videos and otherwise. Go ahead and pick up yourself some tickets to that November 4th show. And of course, we now leave it with one last question. And of course, we just came off of Thanksgiving, my friend. So this is where I need to know is, what is Jesse Maxwell thankful for?
What am I thankful for? So much. I'm thankful for this interview. I'm thankful for being able to create music and putting it out into the world, and thankful for the support that I have of people who have been here from day one, or who have just hopped on and started digging what we're about. And thankful again that I get to do cool stuff like this. And share that part of myself. And yeah, that's about it. Lots to be thankful for in life. Happy and healthy.
Hey, it's all one can really ask for. And I thank you, my friend, for taking the time to join us here once again for round 3 on the DTP.
Thank you so much, Colton. Appreciate you.
The Desert Tiger Podcast.
All right, Ambush. Thank you so much for checking out today's interview here with the incredible, the prolific Jesse Maxwell. You can find Jesse's new sophomore album, LP2, over on your favorite music streaming service right now. I hope that you enjoy what you hear. I also hope that you enjoyed what you heard here today on the DTP. I hope you enjoy it enough that you decided to subscribe to the show if you haven't already. And I also maybe you enjoyed it enough that you decide to share this episode. That would make my heart sing. That would make me so happy. That would help the show out so very much, more than you know. And if you decide to do that, please tag the DTP, Jesse Maxwell, as well as me, the Colton G. And that's where you can find me on your favorite social media platforms as well. Give me a follow. You can also check out our web store. It's www.deserttiger.shop. Right now, we're running a 5-year anniversary sale. 30% off the entire store until October 23rd, 2022 at 11:59 PST. Go ahead and get yourself something to represent the show to help us celebrate 5 years. Now, we leave you with this. Go out, find your roar, and then let that roar out into the world, because you are a mighty, mighty tiger. Don't you ever forget this. And until next time, ambush. Bye-bye.